Welcome to Maggieville, USA, and welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be doing Valentine's Day cards, and I created multifold cards for this video, and the themes are Valentine's, Galentines, and romance. I have some tips and information to share before we get going on the cards. First, as a reminder, Valentine's Day is February 14th, and Galentine's Day is the day before Valentine's Day on February 13th. Which is a day to celebrate special girlfriends in your life. So the finished size of all these cards is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, my favorite size. Most of these cards can easily be made from 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock. Not everyone has 12 by 12. For me specifically, I have both sizes, and that increases the colors and the shades that I have on hand. As stated, these cards were designed for Valentine's, Galentines, and romance, but as always, feel free to change it up. All you need to do to change it up is the colors you use and the pattern paper to change the theme. I'll show you some examples in the video. Special note, if you're using pattern paper, make sure you check the orientation before cutting. Up and down, side to side. Before we get started on the cards, I want to talk a little bit about scoring because I use scoring on these cards. When creating fold cards, it's easiest to use a scoring tool. There are scoring boards available, and I have two that I use the most. This larger one is from Martha Stewart. I like this one the best because it can handle all the different sizes of cardstock I use. I also have a smaller one that's a little handier on the desktop called a Score Buddy. I use this one for smaller projects, again, because it's easier to handle. There are also scoring blades, like this one from Fiskars. It's on a trimmer, and the black one is a scoring blade, and the orange one is a cutting blade. I don't like using these as much personally because it gets in the way if I'm trying to cut 12 by 12 paper. It's best to take the scoring blade off because it gets in the way. Anyway, it's clumsy. That's not my go-to, but just to let you know, there are also trimmers for scoring blades. Now, to get started on the cards. Card number 1 is a double fold with cardstock hearts as the embellishments. Let's get going. Okay, here we go. So, again, you can do this from an 8 1/2 by 11 cardstock. The base total size is a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. The front panel, you're going to cut, that's this piece right here, the front panel. The printed paper is 3 1/4 by 5 1/4, and it's matted with a solid color 3 1/2 by 5 1/2. Then if you want to put in an inside piece for the greeting, that's 3 1/4 by 5 1/4. So let me show you how to assemble this. Now I've done a lot of work ahead of time to make this go quicker. And I'm going to show you just by changing up the paper how you can change the theme. So here we go. I've already got the scoring on here. Let me get my little ruler out here. So you've got a score at a 1/2 inch, and you have a score at 4 inches. Now, when you score, this is called a mountain score, and this is called a valley score. All right. Now, just to assemble, I've got some double-sided tape on here I'm going to get off. This one's easy peasy. And again, I've got my printed paper with my mat, and you're going to line that up. A little tip, use some glue. If you're using a double-sided tape or a tape dispenser, sometimes putting just a thin line of liquid glue over the top gives you a little bit more flexibility when you're putting the card together because it doesn't grab instantly. So I'm going to line up my top piece with that score line. And when I'm sure, see how I can wiggle it around with that glue on there? So I'm going to put that down. There we go. Now we have the card. You can also put another piece of decorative paper here if you would like. I'm just trying to keep it easy peasy. Now I've also put my dimensional adhesive on my hearts. So I'm going to go ahead and put that down. I'm going to put the one in the middle first. Let's see how this goes. And I'm kind of lining up the bottom tip of the heart and the center of the bump there. And I'm going to put this next one on here. And on this one, I'm kind of lining up the inside piece there, the dip, and then the last one. Now, how I got the hearts, I have heart punches, and the ones I have solid lines, and I have scalloped lined hearts. So I just punched out the hearts. Easy peasy. And on this one, I took my white gel pen and I put stitch lines around the hearts just to give it a little bit more attractive creativity. Okay, and on this one, I am actually going to put a greeting on it. And again, with the dimensional adhesive. There you go. 2 of the same layout, different themes. And that's how easy it is. So I have a Valentine's romance type card, same layout. This could really be used for wedding, anniversary, that sort of thing, or just a birthday. It can be anything. That's card number 1. Okay, we're on to card number 2. And this one I call, I got my little posties on everything. This one I call a double fold with a banner strap. And what I mean by banner strap is, of course, the banner, the greeting banner, but it's a strap that goes all the way across the card and tucks in behind. So we're going to show you how to assemble this card, but it's kind of cool because it stands up and it's got all this dimension going on. All right, obviously, Valentine, thinking of you, but let's go on and I'll show you how to assemble that card. Again, using some different patterns of paper, just to give you a little more variety and show you, again, how you can use the same layout for different themes. So on this one, the base is 5.5 by 11.25. So you would need 12 by 12 cardstock to do this, or you could do a cheat like we did on the first card. And as you can see, it's really the same, but I showed you how you can use 8.5 by 11. This one is using 12 by 12. So here we go. This one is scored at 3.5 with a mountain. And when I say mountain, that's how you fold it. So you're going to fold it this way so that you get that mountain fold. And then at 7, and that's a valley fold. The front inside pieces, the front piece and the middle piece, out of printed paper, 3.25 by 5.25. And if you don't want to use printed paper, you can, if you have an embossing machine with embossing plates, you can emboss this for more texture. Okay, let's see, we're going to move on with the actual assembly now. The strip, the strap, banner strip, is 1.5 by 10. And we're going to score at 3.5 with a mountain and at 6.5 with a valley. And that leaves a 1/2 inch tab here. That's at 9.5. So again, it's 3.5, 6.5, and 9.5. And this is for the tab that goes around the back to help hold it in place. Then the front greeting piece where it says thinking of you, that's 1.25 by 3.25. Then the inside printed pieces, these 2 pieces here, are 1.25 by 2.75 inches. You need 2 of those. And again, mix it up if you want to. You don't have to use the same pattern paper, but I just thought it flowed much better that way. So we're going to put it together now. The one tip I have is when you have this piece that's, I call the inside greeting, You don't want to put that down right now unless you have it filled out. If you have your greeting all printed out on here, you're ready to go. You can put that down right now. But I don't, so I'm not going to adhere that down yet. How to do this, excuse me. I already have my adhesive on there. And again, I like to use my liquid glue. And you're going to put that down first. And place it pretty much wherever it flicks your switch. And I just want to put this right there. Now, I want to make sure that it's going to be straight. So tentatively, I'm going to fold this and make sure I have it in position. I also put a little note on here. You don't want to put adhesive on this full tab, because if you do, then this is going to stick down here. You're not going to be able to open the card. So just note that. If you have to put a little Post-it note on there to remind you not to put glue on the full tab, do that. I need reminders, or my mind wanders and I put adhesive where it doesn't go. So we're going to put the glue on here just to give me a little bit of time to be able to move it around if I don't get it positioned exactly where I want it. Oops. Put this in here like so. Now when I'm ready, okay folks, I kept this in the video because I want you to see what I did. I put my Post-it note here. Now the adhesive is in the wrong place. So just for the video, I'm going to go back and I'm going to block this off so that it doesn't stick down here. Again, kind of like to show my mistakes so that you don't do this. Okay, now I'm going to put this down. You can see the adhesive is where it needs to be. Now I can open it up. I'll fix that little boo-boo later. Now I have my strap in place. Again, I didn't glue this in here, but now after I finish my greeting, I can put my adhesive on there. I can slide it in, and then I can put it down. Again, I'm not going to do that yet. Now for embellishments. On this one, I had little punch hearts that I put on there. On the second one, I am just going to use these little gems. I love bling, just to give it a different look. And that's what I'm after here. I want to show you all how with a little bit of thought, you can give it a little different look. Let's see here, put that there. I'm going to put that there. And I love my tweezers. You can see how I'm using those. Love tweezers. There we go. So that's a different look. The card is done other than the greeting. Now you can see these two side by side, completely different look. Forgive my little boo-boo. So there you go. That's card number 2. All right, on to card number 3, a double fold on a flat base. On this one, I did it landscape versus most of my cards are portrait. And we're going to show you how to assemble this card. I think it's very creative and different than most of my cards. This one is not in your typical red Valentine colors, but it can still be used for like Galentine's Day or just a hello or a happy. This can be used for anything. I like that, especially when I'm making cards to go in my stash. We're going to start out with the base. The base is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and the printed accent paper here, or you could use embossed, is 2 1/2 by 5 1/2. Then we're going to create the hinge part, the hinge card that goes on top of this. Now I just want to let you know that during practice, I put the top panel on wrong. So I've got a little bit of red cardstock on here, making a mistake. So I have my double-sided adhesive on here, and I'm going to put some liquid adhesive on top of that. Yay. Then how you assemble this part, I have my top panel. And this is 4-inch square printed paper, 4 1/4 inch square mat. And this is going to go on top of this. And this piece was 4 1/4 by 8 1/2, and it's scored at 2, a mountain fold, and scored at 4 1/4 with a valley fold. Now you want to close this up so that you get your top panel put on correctly. That's where I made my mistake in my practice. And then I didn't get this put on correctly. And you're just going to line it up with the base. I pick it up, makes it easier for me. There we go. If you do it that way, it's assembled correctly. Okay, then we're going to put the front panel onto here, onto the base. And I put my double stick tape on here already. Yep, and my liquid adhesive trick. Again, that makes it so that if you make a mistake, you can pull it apart rather quickly and just continue on, and it gives you some flexibility. Let's get my liquid adhesive on here. The only thing is, if you're using liquid adhesive on the back of printed paper, it could warp your paper. That's not good. Just a tip there. Now I want to try and center this. I don't measure anything because I find that when I measure, I'm off anyway. I'm not good at that. There we go. And now we're going to put a sentiment on the front. See, we've got our card assembled. And here's my sentiment. And I put some dimensional adhesive on the back to get it to pop up a little bit. So get that paper off of there. This is just to show you how you can do your sentiments a little differently. And this one is 1 1/4 by 2 1/4. And you can put it, you know, anywhere on here you want, but I'm a kook for trying to kind of center things. So I'm going to put that on there. Voila. This banner is approximately 1 1/4 by, oh shoot, I forgot how long this is, by 4. This one's 1 1/4 by 4, and then I just dovetailed the ends. So that was quick and easy. And I printed these off on my computer, but if you have rubber stamps, that works really well too. So there you go. That's this card. And if you wanted to put a sentiment greeting panel in here, that would be a 4-inch square. So if you don't want to write right on here, you can do that. And there you go. That's these 2 cards. Quick and easy and so different. Our last card today, my card number 4, is a multi-fold gateway card, sometimes referred to as an accordion card. These are kind of fun to make and display. And I'm going to go through the measurements and how to put this one together. Starting with, and I've done a lot of pre-assembly on this card because I just wanted to make it quicker. Okay. So our base, 5 1/2 by 11 1/2 cardstock. You want to score at 1 1/2 with a mountain, 3 5/8 with a valley. Then over here, 7 7/8 for a valley and 10-inch for a mountain. Now, if you don't have a scoring board like I do that can handle the 12 by 12, there's a cheat you can do. You've got this one, 1 1/2 and 3 5/8, and then you could flip it around and do 1 1/2 and 3 5/8. I just like going across and getting it all done at once. Okay, now for the front flaps, that's these pieces, the front flaps. The printed paper is 1 1/4 by 5 1/4 if you want it to show like a mat all the way around. See that? That dark pink showing through all the way around. If you want a little bit different look, this one is 5 1/2 inches long, and then it only shows the matte part on the right and left sides, not on the bottom. Just a little different. Then the inserts, I call these inserts, behind the front flaps. Those are 2 inch by 5 inch, and you'll need 2 of those. And those go behind the front flaps. So let's put this last one on here. This I left to do so that I can emphasize how important it can be to make sure that your pattern is oriented correctly. In other words, don't screw up like I've done before and put it upside down. On this particular card, it might not make a difference because you could flip it over. However, in my case, these back flaps also have a proper orientation up and down. You don't want your love upside down. See, there's love. Okay, so let's put this one on here and make sure I do it correctly. I don't know. Today is really something for me. Sometimes wonder. I try to do my videos in the morning before I get tired. Sometimes that doesn't work either. Okay, so I have my hearts correctly oriented. And I'm going to open this up so I can get it better centered. Da-da-da-da-da-da. And I think I've got it. There you go. And that's all there really is to that card. Let me see here. Oh. Instead of a sentiment on the front of this one, I thought I would do something a little bit different than my original one here. And I'm putting a heart on the front. And I'll just leave the inside for my greeting. And I put my dimensional adhesive on the back. You want to make sure, again, that you don't put it on the whole thing or you won't be able to open your card. So there we go. And I put a little bling, love my bling, on the heart. Now, the inside greeting piece is, again, optional, but since I used red paper, I want to have a lighter piece of paper in there to write on. That's 4 by 5 1/4. But if you use a lighter cardstock, you don't necessarily have to do that. So there you go. That's my last card, the Gateway Accordion Style card. Now, if you want to know what size this panel was, it's approximately 1.5 inches by 2.5 is the mat size, and then the actual greeting size is about 2 1/4 by 1 inch. That way you don't have to figure it out yourself. So that's the end of this video. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll review the cards again. This was card number 4. And this was card number 3. I really like this one. This one's fun. Voila. That was card number 3. And card number 2. This keeps slipping around because I haven't adhered it yet. But this one was card number 2. And this was card number 3, or card number 1. So enjoy, have fun making your own cards. We'll have the dimensions down below this video. If you could, like, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Thanks for joining us.